Start your day
with Julian Clegg
on BBC Radio Solent.
Now, today, the victims of the tainted blood scandal will be taking their fight for justice to the House of Commons. It's been called the worst scandal in the history of the NHS. More than 5,000 people were contaminated by NHS blood products in the 70s and 80s, and victims and their families who were infected by this want to discuss the new financial reforms. Let's talk to Jackie Britton from Porchester, who was one of those affected. Morning, Jackie.
Hello.
Thank you for being there this morning.
That's okay.
Just remind me and everyone what happened back in, 83, wasn't it?
It was, yes. I gave birth to my daughter in St Mary's Hospital, Portsmouth. There were complications when she was 9 days old, and I was rushed back in and had a transfusion of 4 units of blood. I suffered with ill health and had many major operations in the intervening years, but it wasn't until 2011 when I was diagnosed with having Hep C.
So you waited nearly, and this is the thing that I find extraordinary, is you waited nearly 30 years to find out what happened to you.
That's right. Unfortunately, it's a silent killer. And although every time I went in for an operation, I made sure that everybody knew that I had a transfusion, because obviously I was frightened of bleeding again during operations. Nobody ever questioned that I had a transfusion in the at-risk period, which was before the 1991 when they tested the blood. And so I carried on until I was nearly 50, and then I felt so exhausted, I was so ill. My mother forced me to go to the doctors, and the blood results that my GP took showed that my liver was in serious condition. The results came back 4 times above normal, and when they did further tests, it turned out to be that I had hepatitis C. And then I had the news that they would then have to test me for HIV as well.
And you now have cirrhosis of the liver as well,
I
don't you?
have cirrhosis of the liver, yeah.
I'm so sorry. I mean, you're going to Parliament today.
Yes.
What are you hoping to achieve?
Well, just to show the government, this and previous governments seem to have ignored us for so many years, that the reforms that now are being proposed by our government will actually make every victim worse off. They won't do anything to help our situation, unlike Scotland, who have proposed reforms that will actually increase the financial support for the people that were victims in Scotland. We just want parity, and we need to have this settled. There are too many dying sort of monthly. Over 2,000 dead, that number's being added to. We need to get this settled.
And what will you, just explain for people, what will you lose if these reforms go ahead?
At present, I'm giving an ex gratia payment of just under £15,000, which is index linked. The government are proposing to make that up to £15,000, but take away the index linking. Therefore,
and is that an annual payment or a one-off?
That's an annual payment.
Okay.
Which I have in monthly instalments. That is my family's main income. But with giving us that little bit extra, they are then going to take away, I apply for my prescriptions to be paid for.
Yep.
That would go, I would have to pay my prescriptions, and also they would take away any discretionary payments and my winter fuel allowance, which is £500. So in the interim, the first year I would be over £600 worse off anyway, and it would just, get worse year on year.
And let's not forget, you have been permanently debilitated by something that was not your fault, just in case people are just tuning in and were thinking, why.
That's right.
So, I mean, do you feel the system is just not supporting you enough?
It's let us down year on year. We had the Prime Minister saying this should never have happened. He gave us an apology. We can't live on words. We need to live on financial support. The widows and widowers are waiting. They've lost people, and they're not getting helped with this new scheme that they're proposing. There's still stage ones who are dying that are not getting anything apart from one lump sum. They're not getting annual payments. The stages need to go, and they need to compensate us properly for the suffering that we've incurred and the deaths that have been incurred.
Well, look, Jackie, I wish you well with your trip to London today. Let's keep in touch. Thank you for being there this morning.
Thank you very much for supporting us. Thank you.
Cheers, Jackie. Bye-bye. Jackie Britton talking to us there live from Portchester on BBC Radio Solent.